Welcome to the Grey Matter podcast. We set up this podcast to have deep conversations with people who are thriving on the outside. We're here to learn about the stuff in their grey matter. And we're here for the grey area stories. We're here to humanize the pursuit of success, performance, health span, and well-being. Let's try to unearth what we actually want and what actually matters to us. Gabrielle Barton is a coach with over 13 years of experience leading teams and partnering with multinational organizations across the region. She's the founder of Gabrielle Barton Coaching and creator of the Career Clarity Code. She's also a health coach at Matter. She blends behavioral psychology, NLP, and coaching to help high performers build habits that restore energy, balance, and vitality. So they don't just perform, they thrive. A wife and a proud mother of 3, she's living proof that ambition, fulfillment, and family don't have to be mutually exclusive. It's interesting that actually with the clients that you deal with, I suppose because they've recently lost a job, but they know that they're going to lose a job. And because of the financial commitments they probably have, they're going to want to sprint towards getting something. Right?
The people that are usually, that have lost their job or, visa restrictionary or things like that, they are more. The ones that, the individuals that are much more like, I'm in a stable job and I'm like, I'm fine. This is my choice to go on the journey. I'm much more like, take the time. I'll explore more. It's okay that this was just about like really understanding myself.
But do you actually still feel that what we learn in training is true, that it should be directed by the client in front of you? Like after seeing so many clients, I'm assuming that you have a sense of, no, you should do more of this, but then we're trained to like not, right? Not put our own shit on top of that.
With mine, because it is a framework. I think because no one's going to walk into you and say, okay, I need to get a new job and know that they have to identify values, strengths, or like look at purpose, like, and how to actually find tools that would help that. So you have to suggest things that are going to that unravel and let them experiment and things like that. But you need to guide some of it because they don't know where to like, oh, should I just be going and speaking to a lot of people? But like, how do I even know like why I'm saying I don't know?
I don't even know the questions to ask myself.
I don't know what a value is.
Like,
so what do you mean a value? Like loads of people say that. And because also what I have to make very clear is that to a lot of people, value doesn't like, what the hell is value?
Well, actually, let me try. I don't think I know. I would guess that a value is something that is a deep belief that an individual has that props up or informs their sense of identity, that they end up making the most important decisions from. It's like a rubric or a framework that we have internally that sort of governs what we do. And if we're not in alignment with our values, then it causes misalignment internally. Is that?
It's our like internal compass, you could kind of say in a way. We don't even know it's happening, but it will inform like our decision making, why we like things versus why we don't, why we tend to like certain people over others. We don't know it's happening, but it's naturally there. So we tend to align when we see like, and we'll find more energy, like a more excitement, and so that's the signs you know that you're in value alignment. When we get like angry, frustrated, or we don't like certain people, that's because there's traits of like value misalignment there. So it's like those people are valuing something else.
Right.
Come talk to you.
So is it probably true that if, for example, you and I meet and we have a conversation and we realize that, okay, we're really into personal development, we're really into living a healthy lifestyle, we around the same age, and we both have kids, and we are trying to raise our kids in a certain way, that if we have sort of common values and common ground, we're more likely to get along and like each other?
Well, what would you think, Luke?
I guess so, right? I guess so.
I think that. Because you have something, there's a commonality, a comfortability. There's nothing's fighting your internal like decision-making process. No one's going up against it. So typically you can be like, okay, great. Like, that's good for me. Like,
well, that's a really interesting dynamic to end up working in, or rather living in societies where majority of our time is spent at work and then with our kids, for example, right? Then what we're doing at work is, yes, we all have common ground because we're working at the same place and have to do things aligned under a certain pattern. But beyond that, if we don't at least take the effort to explore what else we might have in common, then it kind of leads to a bit of an empty existence socially, at least at work, right?
And I think it's like the biggest aha like that you get a lot with individuals when you're doing the values is then when you actually, because a lot of people will be like, okay, well, these are values, honesty, respect, or whatever they may be.
Integrity.
Yeah, and things. And then you're like,
courage.
How does this translate into a situation or a behavior in a workplace? And that's when then I would move that and get their thinking into, so if it's like respect,
if it's
people
respect,
speak to you and it's like, okay, I'm violated all over. Then they start noticing the violations and they're like, oh, massive gap. No wonder I'm so like upset. Or like freedom, and they're micromanaged. They have no autonomy to work within the role, and they're being told what to do at every step. Yeah. So, or recognition, things like that. And like, but how does it translate into work? Because I think that's important to make the distinction. It's like what behaviors or what roles, responsibilities, if you're really big on like safety or stability, are you kind of the person that provides that in a business environment and like it? You know, you like stable structures, maybe you operate from a place of keeping things stable, consistent, and then maybe the environment you're in is like,
chaotic.
Yeah, chaotic. Startup, like there's like left, right, and center, and you're like, oh.
Well, so I understand from a work context, like when it comes to trying to figure out a deeper sense of alignment and maybe a deeper sense of purpose with the work that you do. What I'm hearing is that if, for example, you've identified one of your values is respect.
Yes.
That it is on me as the individual to figure out specifically in a work context, how am I going to align either my relationship with work or how work gets done so I get more feedback that makes me feel respected and less put boundaries up so I have less exposure to feeling disrespected. Is that?
Yes. Or is the environment conducive to the type of respect that's meaningful to you?
Because
respect can mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
But if you have someone, you know, very hierarchical structure, for instance, that just because they are the senior leader speaks badly to someone at a junior level, is that a disrespectful thing to you? But it may not be to them. Actually, it might be the other way around, that they have the right to, that is a respect, is that someone listens to a person of hierarchy. So people believe what respect is differently as well. So I think it's for the individual, they have to also be clear.
And as an exercise that someone could do on their own, if let's just say I have on some instinct level, I feel like some of these you've talked about are pretty universal, like respect, recognition, safety. They're quite, I'm not saying everyone has them, but they're quite authenticity, as in we want the work that we do to be representative of what we believe.
Yeah. Or to be able to act as myself.
To be able to act as myself.
Not
in the
like
work
I'm
that
acting as somebody else or having to hide who I am or hide behind things.
That's a big one.
Yeah. I think authenticity is like.
And so if I have one or two of these that I've on an instinct level, sort of, I just know that this is important to me, like respect. In order to dig deeper, to understand it deeper, what are some questions I can ask myself?
I think you can, there is obviously the tool of like, who do you respect? And you look at, and you can usually see commonality traits amongst those individuals. Why do they stand out to you that you think like, and they can be people that are not like related to you. They could be famous people. You can write a list of people you admire. Why?
I remember doing this exercise with you, and one of my answers was my father.
Yeah.
And then we connected the dot from there to me. Like one of the values I have is to be calm in the storm.
Yeah.
and it was quite funny for me to realize, because across my life I had this person in front of me that I really respected, where I'm like, oh, you have an option when shit goes haywire to be calm.
Yeah.
So then what else can someone do?
What do you look for and what is important to you in a relationship with someone?
Oh, that's
just
interesting.
Generally. Usually that surfaces like laughter, and it doesn't need to be like a physical relationship. It can be like a friendship relationship. It could be a partner relationship. It can be a parent, anything. What do you look for to make a good relationship? And like that usually people will be like happiness, fun, laughter, and that brings out a lot of those words.
Yeah, if I want to feel seen, and if I want to feel like my opinion matters, if I want to be able to
like fairness, maybe, like, so you start getting themes.
Yep.
You can kind of then group some of these words. You're like, oh, these keep coming up again and again and again. If I looked at all the different relationships that I want, whether it be a friend, what would be important to me? Loyalty, to feel safe, trust. Then they usually start mimicking. Oh, if it was even a parent, what would I look for? Trust, loyalty, like safety. They start coming up again and again and again when you start listing all those different relationships you could be having.
Do you think it's important for us to then take, a loyalty thing or a respect or a fairness thing and try and drag it backwards to, oh, where did that come from?
No, because I think with values, typically, they are built usually between like the ages that we're kind of born up to 7 years old. And values are good. So even when people are worried about like having safety or security, sometimes they do get nervous that that is a value. It doesn't mean that it's always got to be in a negative context when we think about like safety or security, like, or that it's stopping us from having freedom. These are our internal compasses, and both can coexist. A lot of people have freedom and safety, or like security and freedom, or risk and security at the same time. Both can coexist, but you will operate differently to the next person of how you may take risk or how you approach having freedom. What freedom is important to you. You can have freedom in this element, but you have parts of safety that will constrain you, or constrain you, but that may hold you back from other areas. But that's for you. And that's what's going to be comfortable for you and make you feel in alignment.
Yeah, it quite resonates, because another way of looking at what you're saying is, even if the value that you have came from a scenario that wasn't so ideal.
Yeah.
For example, for me, some shit happened between ages 6 and 9 that made me feel powerless as a boy. And in sort of doing the work later on as an adult, I realized that from there, when that situation ended, it gave me a feeling of, I want to help people feel empowered. And personally, it's important for me to stand up for myself and to speak up when I don't think things are going well. And when I think about it deeper, it's easy to be like, well, that comes from me over-indexing on, self-protection because of what happened when I was a kid, but actually how it's played out in adult life, because I've tried to sort of get a handle of it and try and turn it into something positive. It's become something that has sort of been a guiding voice in whatever work I do.
And actually all values are good. Our value systems are good for us. They are what makes us feel, because usually we'll list all these values at the ultimate. Usually it's a feeling people have that when you have all of these values in place, it's like, I then feel complete, whole, amazing, energized, like me. I feel like me because I have my little bit of safety that I need. I have my freedom that I have like respect here, trust. And when all of that comes together, that's when I feel everything is perfect. Like I'm just able to operate as me.
Personally, so I feel like
those aren't bad.
Yeah. I feel like that might be a more helpful and more practical model than self-actualization, right? Because we're talking about, if you do the work and you ask yourself the right questions, or you work with a coach, you can drill down to what your set of values probably are, like with some confidence, and how that should play out or could play out in your life. And whether that means you got to switch to a different job, or you got to figure out how to make the work that you do align better with the values that you have, or you have to, try and do the work to adjust the relationships that you're in and stuff like that. If you get it right, it's like a consistent work in progress to sort of like have the checks and balances. And I would guess that the more in tune you are with what's important to you, I don't know if the word is easier, but it's maybe simpler for you to find alignment again when something throws you off.
Exactly. And it's got to be there for your, it's your compass. So it's helping you make the decisions and steer you back. So, and I think, when what you were saying earlier in terms of like having these different parts of you, essentially, like values can be conflicting. That's also what happens.
I don't know if I fully understand that part.
So for instance, if you have safety versus your freedom in values. They can both exist. You
Okay.
really value that you love freedom and opportunity and whatever that freedom may mean to you, but you also value like safety, security, and structure. That's usually what happens when we have individuals that are like, oh, I want to stay in this job. I'd love to go and try this, but then also I really value this. I want to be secure, like stable for my family and not rock the boat. And but this would be really exciting and actually would give me loads of potential. So they both exist. They're both in you. And that's actually why that happens.
Yeah.
You've got another value that is just as important, like fighting back. I think what you need to do is then say, okay, because I can't actually have true overall happiness without both existing, because they both are inside me. They both have equal voicing. How could I have this if I also allowed this to have some input? So I'm not going to leave my whole job tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to start putting up, okay, I'll leave if I've also got a buffer of X, Y, and Z. That could get me a step further. It's allowing both to coexist, and because they actually both have the same positive intent for you. They both want to get to that feeling of whole greatness, like for self-fulfillment. They both want it.
So as you explore these things with the clients you work with, do you actually often end up in, let's not make any drastic moves of like, it's like zero a hero. It's let's have some nuance and let's test some ideas out and see if you can get close to that feeling of contentment.
Yeah, and no one's telling anybody to, I think people get the wrong idea of, I'm going to career transition and suddenly I'm going to like leave everything behind and go and retrain for 10 years to become a doctor. The interesting thing is that patterns that have happened in our lives are usually not accidental. So usually we are very successful in a position that we've gotten to because we're actually good at a lot of things to do with it. We're actually very good.
Say that one more time.
So if you're really successful, and that's when it's really hard, oh, I'm going to have to go and retrain and become like a medic. There's no accident that you probably got to the position that you're in, because actually there's loads of attributes in that were really good for you.
So it's not like you need to throw the whole thing out and start afresh.
And you will start unpacking and looking at patterns and seeing, oh, that's why I took that position, because actually I am really good with people.
Yeah, or I'm really meticulous and I applied it in this context and I wasn't aligned with the mission of the company and it sucked. But actually, when I tidy things up and keep things moving well, it gives me satisfaction. So if I just apply that to something that I like to do.
And why does, there's also, when we look at the things that make something exciting for us, I think we also think everything has to suddenly tick the box. We go from, oh, I'm like disgruntled now, I'm fulfilled, misaligned. I've got to be in 100 full alignment when to move. But if we weren't to be perfectionists and 70% meant you had your energy back to 70% of your role, 80% was starting to fuel your day as opposed to 20, what would that look like? And then with the 30, is it not okay that kind of exists if you've got 70 to 80% to combat the part that you don't think is perfect? I don't like it doing admin. Okay, well, maybe you're okay doing the admin because 70 to 80% of you is giving you the energy to get through the harder bits.
I think that's such an important point in the era that we live in right now, because I've been a little bit too obsessed with a lot of these AI tools. And I find myself thinking all the time, like, okay, what's all the shit that I don't like to do? Let me automate all of it so I never need to do anything I don't want to do. And over the last couple of days, I keep catching myself with that thought. And on an instinct level, I'm starting to realize that. I'm starting to realize that, well, I don't know if we're supposed to optimize our way to a point where there's no difficulty. I think I know physiologically when it comes to exercise or like exposing yourself to cold or even challenging conversations and challenging situations, our bodies and our brains respond to that stuff like a hormetic stress, like we bounce back stronger. So then in problem solving or in the work that you do, I don't think it makes sense to go for 100. What do you think?
Yeah, I think people are too worried and they will catastrophize what's going to happen. And when they go to what could be the potential, are we not even happier just to move 1, 2, 3% of the dial towards that and then let that also evolve? Develop,
because we might find that we like a different version of existence.
And it's so funny because people also say, oh, but I don't know where to move forward because I don't know what else is out there.
I mean, I know that
Why
feeling.
are we leading with what we don't know as opposed to what we do? And what we do know is I like this.
Okay.
I typically am good at this.
Okay.
I have performed very well in these environments and enjoyed doing it. I get energy from X, Y, and Z. Those should be the first areas that we start trying to push ourselves forward with more curiosity and question.
I think it's much more empowering too, right?
Yes.
Because there's so much more that we don't know about in this world than we do know. And if we focus on what we do know.
Yes. And isn't that much more like, empower. Exactly. You've got a bit more control of the conversation. Oh, I don't know what else is out there. Well, also, where do you start? There has to be a starting point. And shouldn't we start the starting point with good indicators? Actually, I've been really bad at that, but I could just probably explore it a little bit more because someone's just will have a conversation with me.
It sounds like each time I talk to you, you have not quite a certainty, but it seems like you're recognizing these patterns that people have. And I don't know if it's because you see a lot of people I don't know if midlife is the right word, but definitely in transition, like trying to discover a new version of themselves, or some shit happened in life where they need to change their perspective, reorient, something significant, maybe a health issue or something like that has really sort of just cracked them open in some way. It seems like we're dancing around some common themes here. Do you think that in a society like this, we're all battling the same few things?
I think there's definitely commonalities. I think it would be naive of us to think that we suffer and we're the only one that has any of these thoughts. Otherwise, businesses don't exist, jobs don't exist, market trends don't exist. Like nothing can.
That's true. Market trends would not exist if we were not kind of similar.
If there's not commonalities and themes that happen, and the same happens for human beings. I think the same way that we like the same things, it's also the same pain points that we have. We get the same messaging also, and we've grown up with similar kind of cultures and environments sometimes that can also have the same outcomes when it comes to us developing over time. The impacts that the external is having on us as well. And I think that's definitely happening for careers. I think we're even, not only because of the age at which we're at, for that typically a lot of this misalignment comes up, but I think what we're actually going uniquely through at the moment in terms of like AI and the future of work, it is not the same as what we grew up being promised, I would say.
It's quite unsettling.
Yes. And I think, especially for our generation, maybe that's also why there's a lot more of this misalignment that's happening between our kind of generation of 35 to 50 kind of plus, because I think we all were promised go to school.
Did that.
Yep. Go to university.
Yes.
Get a job. Climb the ladder. Be loyal. Be reliable. Turn up every day. And you will eventually start moving into the positions and you'll have the right feeling along the way.
Yep.
I think we all wanted job stability, financial freedom. These are all still really important recognition, but it now doesn't look the same as it used to. And what job security used to be, as we see, staying with a massive multinational, does not secure that for you. You might be the first out tomorrow because of how the conditions are changing, because the skills aren't up to scratch anymore. So we can't be so reliant on what the system used to look like. We have to be proactive now. What does that look like?
Yeah, what does that look like? I think there's also nuance there, right? Because proactive about what to do for work is definitely one side of it.
Yeah.
But proactive about where we're going to find a sense of purpose and meaning and happiness and security is the other side of it, right? Because the subtext of what you just said is, I don't know who sold us this vision, but we were all sort of sold a vision that if we do all these steps, we will get to a place and along the way we'll find happiness and meaning and purpose and all that. And I think we're all sort of realizing now that that's not necessarily true. And so for that second one, for finding contentment, for finding happiness, for finding deeper meaning, if we have that feeling that we're not going to be able to get this from the work that we do, and I'm 42 and I got two kids, and it just feels off. Like it feels misaligned. It feels like I should feel better. I got some shit on paper correct, but like I should feel better than I do now.
Yeah.
How can we start looking? Like, where do we start looking? How do we start solving for that?
Well, I think there's like many elements for that. So I would say that it becomes almost a perfect storm, because I think if you looked at all of the job surveys, like what is still important when people look for jobs is kind of stability, recognition in the workplace, roles and responsibilities, and growth. Those like have actually stayed consistent. And what's changed is the external environment that no longer creates them. So that churns up all of this, oh my gosh, and then purpose, and then throw in, because maybe you could have actually had all of those things quite consistent and found them elsewhere.
Yeah.
But when you throw that all out of the window, because that doesn't look the same as it used to be, you're kind of in a no man's land of what is, now I'm grasping at everything. Should it be passion? Should it be my purpose? Should it because I just want financial security? Everything's up in the air. And I think that's where we have to start asking the questions. And that's why going through like a framework of understanding what's important to you now. And I think we can't just lead with I know many will say like, just find your passion. But I think that's also naive, because with passion alone, it's more like a hobby. If the market doesn't need it and you can't be paid for it, you're not going to have a sustainable life.
Could you potentially,
and then job security?
Yeah. Could you potentially, in sort of a high level way, guide me through one of these frameworks?
Yeah. So I work typically with clients on the Career Clarity Code. That's a framework that I've put together, and it's based on predominantly 3 C's. So clarity, confidence, and creating. So what we typically would want to work on in that first instance is much more around getting to know oneself. So yes, what is our values? Like, what is making these internal compass decisions? What's making things feel right or wrong? Why does gut go against some feeling? And we have it all the time. Sometimes we just, I didn't like that person. I got a gut feeling. That's actually the compass of your values.
Yeah, it's the values-based stuff.
Yes, and you're getting, and they're being violated in some way. So let's get in touch with actually what they are. What do they mean to us? How do they present themselves? And I think this is also being realistic, that they're not just words and they're there, but let's actually see how they've created patterns in your life. So we're gathering real data. This real data can inform you to make a decision because it's actual fact. So if we are looking at patterns of when we were most happy throughout our lives, the highest achievements that we've made, what we are most proud of, there's usually commonalities of patterns. And so we unpack a lot of that. So then we'll understand what actually is conducive to, and what environments actually were conducive to making those things happen for you. So once we get an understanding of that, we also need to understand what we're good at, not what we have learned over time, because skills can be learned and brought with us, and they're absolutely valuable. But a strength is actually something you don't need to use so much energy on. It's natural to you, and it's actually a superpower you have that others may find difficult. When you can tap into using your energy on those, and very usually will become flow state type of activities for you, and focus much more energy on that, you're going to be more in alignment. Because
what are some examples of strengths that people don't realize they have? Or maybe they don't even look at them as strengths because, like you said, it's kind of effortless or very low effort for you to just do this thing naturally.
Communication. I think that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Because also, as soon as you say or identify communication, a lot of individuals will say, oh, but I don't write that well and I don't use big languages. But what I think we want to go below the surface of that is, how has communication style supported you in environments? And then you'll have a lot of individuals say, oh yeah, actually, I've never really had conflict. I've been able to influence a lot of individuals to actually, when I had a project, they came on board, or I was able to sell these things to them quite easily. I didn't feel like it was selling, or it just was second nature to me. Those types of conversations.
Yeah, maybe I'm not so good at public speaking, but I know that I can get buy-in when I spend time with people one-on-one, where I get a chance to, in a quiet way, state my case and hear them out. You're right. Like a lot of times that it's in the nuances.
Yes, right? And people think communication means, oh, I must be this eloquent, amazing speaker with loads of different, tools of language. And no, usually it's like building rapport.
Yeah.
Maybe you have, and also different communication styles will suit different people for different environments. So also, oh, but I'm not that formal. I've heard that before, but I'm not that formal.
Me.
No, but I think in a corporate setting, but then also that was a question to ask. Do you want to be in a hugely corporate formal setting that wouldn't see the advantage of your communication style? We start benchmarking it against what we think it should mean, as opposed to what does it mean for us, and what would be conducive and make me feel comfortable to use it in the right way. So let's also understand how the strengths get optimized, what environment for them actually is the best. So clarity is getting clarity on all of these things, so that we know
including
who we are.
Stuff.
Who we are, why we're doing this, what's the gap that I'm feeling between who I am now and where I want to be. Then confidence is that, like, believing in that. I believe there's enough data we've gathered, we understand the patterns, there's credit to the strengths that I'm actually highlighting to individuals that I'm good at. I'm clear and confident in communicating those to individuals.
Which you can't do the second C, which is confidence, if you don't do the clarity work first.
Well, I would say that in tangent, because I think that your confidence grows by action, and clarity also comes through action as well. So I think as long as we are acting with information, data gathering, I think they come hand in hand. So that's why it's part of a process.
Got it.
Yeah. And then the third is creating. When we move away from this must be the final outcome, and we break it down into what could I create, a very different approach comes from the individual that is much more informed from where they feel comfortable. So, I need to be a lawyer. The world just told me that I have to go for 10 years of studying to become that. Instantly, wall goes up.
I don't have a choice but to do this.
When we go to what world can I create? Oh, okay. So if that was to happen, I could maybe, take a part-time role, part-time study. I could be really excited by maybe doing some volunteering in that area. Maybe I could look at other traits that could kind of get me there on the way to becoming a lawyer, or maybe there's other roles that actually align with all of the attributes I think are really great about being a lawyer. And I think I'm aligned to, maybe there's other roles that I could create that are designed for me in this world. And I think when you get someone into that frame of mind, they will be much more open to action and accountability.
Because there's a lot more to sort of challenge them on as well, right? Okay, let's just go explore with this. Let's just give this a shot, see if it sticks.
And and therefore you don't need to leave your job tomorrow. No one told you to. Everyone says, oh, but I don't want to just leave without a role. Well, no one said that had to be the outcome there. If we also found out that you're only leaving if you have X, Y, and Z, that was better than the situation that you're in now. Don't leave. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting, right? Because on the side you do some health coaching as well, and I've been doing a bunch of this as well. And this framework that you have of clarity, confidence, and creating, it can be applied in so many ways to people on this side of the journey as well, right? Because a lot of people have these ideas in their heads that are either based on what they see on Instagram or read in an article, or what 26-year-old version of them did. And we get stuck in these things. I will have to lose exactly this amount of weight. And the subtext of that is because I won't find happiness until I get there. And when you can get someone in a coaching situation to have a deeper conversation about finding clarity on what's actually important to you at this
Yes.
stage in life
Yeah.
with a lot of nuance, because a lot of times people think about what would have made 27-year-old version of themselves happy, not
Yeah.
realizing that, well, at 42 with my 2 kids, I'm not actually willing to make that trade-off, because it would mean that I would have to give up time,
Yeah.
like taking my kids to school because I got to go for a run, or having dinner with my elderly parents
Yes.
because they want to eat a certain way and I need to like control
Yeah.
my macros, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like people
is.
don't realize, and I don't think it's their fault. I think
Yeah.
it's just like we're so busy with the shit that we have to do in life.
Yeah.
We don't have the time, maybe, or we don't have the process in place to dig deep on our own.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like once you go through that process and it gets to this idea of creating, because I know this feeling
Yeah.
in the health coaching sort
Yes.
of process of how else can we skin this cat? Like
Yeah.
we now understand what actually matters to you,
Yeah.
and it's these 3 things. What are the habits that can actually give us that satisfaction that will end up with us getting improvements in our health,
Yeah.
that don't necessarily need to mean like I need to lose exactly 12.8 kilos. Like
Yes,
it's not,
yes.
it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be
So
so strict.
finite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you exactly. And I think you can have an outcome, but there's different ways of getting there. One way that works for someone else will not work for another. We're all unique. We have certain, our own personal circumstances. But I think this comes back to why we then hear the I don't knows a lot. And I actually think it does come down to the like, I want to have this. Okay, what does that mean that you would have to do to have that? And who would you have to be to become it? And I think
I don't know.
I think a lot of individuals will actually therefore be too scared to admit what they might have to give up or the cost of change that might have to happen in order for that to be the outcome. And
so
that's where it breaks down. So it's kind of like once I lose the weight, I'll be confident. That's the wrong way of actually approaching it. If you want to have lost the weight, you're going to have done a lot of the actual brunt work to get there. What kind of person would you have to actually be to have that happen? And I think that's why there's a correlation that it's not just careers and it's not just health coaching, but there's also correlations that when you improve one part of your life, it then has a ricochet to others. So you'll find that then people, I changed my career, found more alignment, had more energy,
got in better shape,
got more confident,
worked on my relationships,
got really confident, started losing weight, seeing that they could push themselves more, started building bigger challenges. It starts to all come together and you start seeing correlations over all parts of your life because it's the person you are becoming, not just the outcome that you want to have.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. And what I want to hone in on is this I don't know piece.
Yes.
Right. So are you talking about it specifically when someone is faced with whatever they're saying is the next version of person they want to become, and when they get challenged with that, the response is, I don't know. And are you looking at that as like a teachable moment, as something that we need to sort of dig into?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Yeah. I think like I'll have clients and we'll even go through so much information about values, strengths, what passion, like points that they love, what interest levels they have. And as soon as you might just go to a more direct question of like, what would this translate to into roles? I don't know. And we've just gathered all this information. I think what I don't know is usually holding that is not being said is, okay, if I do want to become a medic or whatever it may be, or I want to complete, I'm going to have to face the fact that there's a cost to change. Maybe I'm going to lose time with family. Maybe I'm going to lose all my friendship groups. Maybe it's going to be really financially expensive. There's a cost, and I like to have that for travel and buying clothes. And maybe I'm going to have to be more disciplined. To have something else, there's always a cost.
Yeah.
And so each decision, there's always a cost.
And so when you hear, I don't know, I'm guessing it's often, I'm not ready to become that person, or I now have to face the fact that I don't actually want to fully become that person.
Or it can easily also be, I still have a fear of what it means. So,
Oh.
like I'm still maybe fearing I have a limiting belief to get there even.
Yeah.
Or do I give myself permission to become this or allow myself to go down that route? To think that way? How dare I? I've got a great world and it's stable and it's secure and I've, everyone's happy and I've got the titles. I would have to give that up. Do I give my permission to allow myself to go through that journey? So there can be lots of reasons, but usually I don't know isn't I don't know.
Yeah.
I think most people do. And if we have the right questioning and kind of thought processes, tools and frameworks, people usually can do. And I do fundamentally think that's what's also interesting with working with clients is that sometimes they think that they're going to have this aha moment that they're a completely different person. That's not usually the case.
It's a process of gradual discovery, all peeling off layers,
and
right?
usually it's stuff you actually already know. Are you allowing yourself to be the person you're capable of being?
Which is a simple statement to say, but we all across childhood and adult life get conditioned into patterns, including when we join organizations. And the first organization that you work for example, will have a huge impact on how you think work gets done. And if you learn in a particularly harsh environment that you're supposed to say some things and not say other things, you add 2 decades to that. Of course, you don't know who the hell you are. Right?
And I think you usually do, but it's the permission to allow yourself, because there usually is a cost. If I'm going to fulfill my potential, there's probably going to be a cost to other things in your life, whether that be time, freedom, friendship groups. There may be sacrifices that have to be made to be fulfilling that. You usually know that that person's there and capable of doing it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on the journey of wanting to, and why am I feeling this way? But it's actually allowing yourself to identify who that person is. And it's, small steps to being allowed to change to get there. I think that's the hardest work.
That is.
Yeah.
For you, what was the cost that you finally at some point realized you were not ready, that you no longer wanted to pay? Because not everyone knows this, but you had a pretty illustrious career for quite a long time.
Thank you.
that you left at some point. And I'm sure people in your peer groups were like, what the hell is she doing? And what made you realize it was time?
I think for me, and I think I'm not unique in this either, that when we're younger, I think my values were in a very different priority list. When I was, arriving in Singapore, I thought, oh, what a great opportunity to maybe, reinvent, try something different. And I thought that actually recruitment found me. And for many years, I think many people say that. I now do not believe that. And I don't think it is an accident that I chose to move into recruitment.
Because it was a good alignment of your skill sets.
But at the time I used to, I think I was just a chameleon. I could be in any kind of situation. I think that was a protection as well of having to, if you said this out loud, it made it real. So, and it was your choice. It's your responsibility. And it's your accountability at the end of the day if you stay. So I think at the time you kind of, I fell into it. And I think a lot of people use those terms. So I kind of fell into PR. I fell into recruitment. And then I kind of got locked in with what most people get locked in. At the time I was young, pre-children, wasn't married yet. I wanted great social life. I had just arrived in Singapore. What recruitment gave me, great learning opportunities, meritocracy. You could climb the ladder very quickly based on your inputs, great financial rewards. I could, especially since I was already doing a career transition, that was really appealing to me. Oh, I'm not going to have to start from nowhere. I can quickly, I was a very sporty, competitive person before that anyway. I'll apply that to this environment, get to meet lots of people. And generally over time, I kept getting more successful and the job becomes easier and easier. Your network starts to grow. You get better at identifying patterns within people in the industries you're working with, the relationships you're building. So, and then I start moving to director, managing a team. So there then becomes a big responsibility to walk away from. And that's a big cost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to say it now, I actually walk away from stability, friends, my colleagues, my network,
Status.
yeah, all of it. You kind of stay in it. Okay, well, maybe just after the next promotion, it's going to open my eyes to something new. Maybe if I just get my biggest deal I've ever gotten, that's just going to be the tip on the iceberg that teaches me something different. So you always kind of use all the excuses as you're going along. And actually, a lot of it was good for many years because it did tick a lot of my boxes. But then I had kids. I think for most people that will recognize this in themselves, I think your alignment of values, just the priority at which they are there, shifts a lot. Also, if you're giving 100% to the person you had become in that environment without having to add the complexity of time with children and family, add it all in and then see what time you still have in your day to try to make that identity still work and the new one that you're still trying to figure out into that as well.
There's no space.
There's no space because I was 100%. All I had to do was be that individual. Now, no, I've got other people to think about. Guilt comes into the playbook and all the rest. So, I mean, after I had the kids, I actually went to Tony Robbins, found a new lease again, actually loved going to work because it kind of reminded me of those identities that I had from before, not just this new mom that I had come, which was scary. And that was where growth was for me. But over time, it's really subtle. That's the thing. It's not just a in your face, wake up one moment. It happens gradually over time. You start to feel a little bit more guilt. You start to notice you're snapping a little bit more at things that didn't used to
on both
annoy
sides.
you. Yeah, on both sides. You're at work and you're getting emotional about something that, just a deal didn't go through. And you're suddenly like, why is that hitting me in such a different way now?
Sounds like you're describing my life.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's what happens, especially when you are successful on paper. And because why am I rocking the boat when I wanted all of these things for so long? And these were the pillars of success. Like, I'm not just going to throw in the towel and throw a hissy fit because I'm not feeling great. Like, no. And you also internalize that must be me. Am I ungrateful? It will pass. That's a lot of the also, it will pass. I'll figure it out. But yeah, it grows and grows. And I actually then, my body told me for me and actually hospitalized me.
How so? What happened?
Yeah, so I started getting really dizzy. And then I was diagnosed with hypertension, which I was fainting and things like that. So they hospitalized me, did every test, and then they just figured it was actually probably stress. And my own nervous system was actually attacking itself.
And knowing what you know now, when you look back on that, is it as simple as you knew you wanted to go in a certain direction, but you weren't letting yourself, and that caused this misalignment?
Yeah. I think the person I had to be in this environment was very different to the person I have become, becoming a mother and
loving it.
And loving it and enjoying that. And actually, I had to be open to myself to say, by the way, it's okay to be that person and softer. And I used to thrive on being the survivor and throw me into any environment. I can live in any country and and I can deal with it. I don't want that to be the main driver of my life anymore. I was like, well, it'd be nice if I didn't have to keep fighting for everything and pretending all the time. And maybe there's actually something that gives me a balance to this that is more suited to making me happy, like have the happiness, fun that I actually need in my life. And so I still didn't know all of that at that time, to be honest. When I did actually have my notice in, it was just, it compounded over so long. I just actually got another promotion.
So it dragged on even after you were hospitalized. You let it drag on for a while.
Yeah.
Are we talking like 6 months?
Yeah, another. In the hospital, I was actually still working. I have a picture of me sending my boss like, don't worry, deals are still being made. Not even allowing myself to slow down at that point. So, and I think it just gradually over time, I was like, oh, wow. And I just knew that it was bringing down what my potential was what I could do in the work. I wasn't doing it anymore. I was just like, there was a loss of interest, motivation. And I was like, before this gets a situation that's going to take over me and then become detrimental to my confidence, I need to start recognizing that I have to do something about it, because it will then affect my confidence so much. Because yes, I'm going to start getting called up for the fact that I'm not wanting to do a lot of this work anymore. So I did. And I think everything that I was so fearful for in terms of the security, the status, the environment, I kind of thought I actually thrived off chaos. Comes to be, actually, that wasn't true.
You had the skill of getting through chaos and like succeeding.
And it was learned.
Yeah.
It's not something I wanted to carry forward. And so I walked out that day after I actually handed in my notice, and I felt the biggest weight and relief.
Oh, that must have felt so good.
Yeah, which I thought was going to be the opposite. I thought I was going to go into fight or flight panic mode, get the next role that's going to come up, and I didn't, which was the first sign. Don't act that way again. Don't go and allow fear or fight to be the guider of what the next path should be.
Yeah. Was it clear to you from then that, hey, I should help people because probably people are feeling the same? Was it clear to you then, or it took a while to get into coaching?
No, it didn't. I think after you've gone through a situation where the misalignment is really so confrontal to you, I think you are a little bit resistant. And that's where I say a lot of individuals be like, oh, they can be very in a toxic way around what happened. And there's lots of excuses that you say, oh, it happened to me. That's the kind of environment that is, the industry. But as soon as I started the coaching journey, I learned a lot more about accountability, about my part to play in taking on those positions.
What was your part?
That actually I was good at the job because I was good at a lot of the parts of recruitment. It wasn't just because I'm competitive. And, I used to say, oh, well, that's just the nature of it. But actually, I was never supposed to be a recruiter. I don't think but actually, there was lots of attributes to it that were really good for me.
And like you said just now, it served you very well. Like
it
for a
served me
time,
very well.
For a time, it was where you were supposed to be.
I think at the time I didn't probably admit it, because it then meant that I probably should lean in even more to it and things like that. But yeah, definitely then going through coaching. Oh yeah, that wasn't an accident. I was really good at those things. And actually, how could I use a lot of the transferable skills that I have actually learned through that, and my natural strengths that obviously got me to where I was in that role, to what the gap was that I was missing. And the gap was really the purpose and being intentional about the work I do and making sure that it did align with values. And those values include growth, fun. I do want things to be fun.
What a concept.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
How dare you?
Yeah. I should be happy. Not struggling. Like,
it's so ridiculous, because I know this feeling too. It's almost like
how dare I?
Like I'm too intelligent to need happiness. Like, what are you talking about? I don't need that to be a primary thing that I want.
But mine was like
silly,
very.
Right?
It came and authenticity came up for me a lot, in terms of then understanding that is one of my core values. Wanting to feel myself and operate from a place of feeling comfortable in myself, in what I'm doing, how I communicate, what I'm learning. So that's still something we all I'm continuing to work on.
I feel like, not to, sidetrack us too much, but I feel like that would be such an interesting path to walk down, because I feel like that's most of us, right? We feel that we're supposed to be a certain way because we grow up getting told to, in this country at least, like, just shut up and listen when you're in school.
Yeah.
And then when you stand up to speak, you got to speak in a certain way. And then we go from there to having to memorize things, to regurgitate, to pass exams. And you go from there to, getting thrown into a work environment where you have to speak a certain way as well.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me that if there's such a large disconnect between how we have to speak most of the day and how we speak to our closest friends.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it needs to be the same.
Yeah.
But if there's such a large disconnect to bridge,
Yeah.
obviously it's going to cause some sort of turmoil
Yeah.
internally. So how would someone sort of go through this process of how can I find better alignment there? Or how can I learn to just be more accepting and more happy with how I speak and what I want to come across as?
I think energy is a really big and good indicator for many of us.
As in whether it drains you?
Yes. And I know that like energy, a lot of people are like, oh, what's that mean?
So I think yes,
meaning it.
until like you hit about 40 and then like enough shit happens, you go like, just tell me. I don't care. Use the word.
But I think also individuals think that like, oh, I'm just going to suddenly get like so excited and I'm just going to know. Like energy can be subtle. It can, but I think this is why we have to be intentional about going on these journeys and asking the right questions and I do think that's why, for me personally, working with a coach was the only way I was able to unpack that, was because I didn't know what to ask myself or what I should be looking for in pillars that would then give me data to go off. And I think to feel more like yourself, who are you around when you feel you're happiest? Start noting some of that down. What am I doing typically? What tasks am I not consciously frustrated about? Or because they can be very subtle differences between something draining you and something still providing you some energy. When you start to notice that, I think a lot of people love to do this energy audit because they then start to really like, oh, wow, 70% of my day was a drainer.
Yeah.
And then I was confused why the last 30% I didn't go to the gym. I didn't speak to my family. I didn't fulfill my potential of what I should be capable of. Because we were 70%. Like, how can we refill that cup? There's only 30% left of the day anyway.
I definitely had a little part of me that rolled my eyes when I had to go through this exercise of doing energy audit. And then I did it, and then it was so obvious. It basically slapped me in the face of, okay, like, just do less of this shit, dude. I'm like,
and that's why it seems so simple. We're not intentionally looking for it. So
because we just power through.
We're
very
on
good
autopilots. We also know what is comfortable. Oh, don't rock the boat, because actually if I started to say no to some of these things, what does that mean? But protecting our energy is important. And I think that is how you start to realign with your authentic self. When more things are giving you energy, there is more alignment in that. And I think that's a great indicator. Do I want to? Am I happy to? What's my mood like? Start to look for those little, and journaling's a great way of doing that. But I think as long as we're even with clients that I work with that don't really like to journal on things, as soon as I've said it, it'll be interesting what they come back and they're like, oh, after you said that, I had this conversation and it was just the light bulb moment that they were like, and I loved having this meeting. And then I thought about what was it that I loved about the meeting? And then it was because I was interacting with people and we were like having this great conversation and I was able to speak freely, whatever may come from that.
It does seem like the human mind is really good at making those jumps once you bring it awareness. I have found that a lot in a coaching process as well, that when in conversation, through certain questions, people have certain realizations and they realize that, oh, okay, actually in that situation, I could do this instead of this. Just that thought, even if it doesn't become an exercise and homework that you have to take home, it becomes something that, because it resonated with them, it becomes something that they inevitably think about across their week. And that's when like the little changes start to happen. And it's part of this sort of gradual process of change.
Yes. And it's doing something slightly different than we did the day before for a different outcome. What are the small, tiny little tweaks that like being aware of it? Even like when I had, a client that just, where do I start? How do I start exploring? And just being aware and having asked himself that question, and then came and actually, I have 3 friends and I don't know what they do.
That's crazy.
And he was like, when I went and I thought, who should I speak to? I then realized I don't even know what they really do. He was like, that's crazy to
I
me.
love those moments.
Yeah,
In a coaching process,
yeah.
I love those moments the most.
Don't even really know. So I just started there. That's someone comfortable with me. I'd never really asked them, do they enjoy about their work? What do they not? What do they do on a day to day? And as I started doing that, I found out a lot. I think that's where we just need to start. Start somewhere.
Yeah. And I feel like the parallels there with, anything health related, fitness related, recovery related, so many of the conversations end up the same actually, right? Because people come in with like serious issues, right? Like we both know how this feels, and when you're burnt out, it sucks, and you can't think straight, and you're foggy, but you've also read a lot, and you also know people that have suffered and ruined their health as a result of it. And so all of this is weighing on you, and we all have, a bit of guilt about how I handled this, a bit of guilt about how I'm not a good enough parent, a bit of guilt about how I should check in on my parents again. We got all this shit going on. And a lot of times people come in with ideas about what to do that are so deep and complex and fully fleshed out for like the next 6 months. You know what I mean? And sometimes it causes the opposite effect of like, oh my goodness, like that sounds like so much. It sounds like so hard to do. And the trick in that scenario is to never mind that. Just start.
Start. And it's one small thing today that moves you one step closer. It doesn't need to be the whole thing. We don't need to leave the job. We don't need to go and enroll for a whole course like tomorrow. No, I'm not going to be, told by and encouraged by my coach to, leave my whole family behind and go and take some secondment somewhere for 12 months. No, I think the other thing that's important there is that you actually know what to do. And you will operate from a place with the information, the best place you can, and make the best decision at that time with the information you have available.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when you told me that at a particularly bad time of my life. It's almost too simple, right? But that is the best decision that you can make at the time.
So with the information you have right now, today, which is probably very little about what could potentially happen. That's only where anxiety only lives in the future. It cannot live in the now because it's something that has not happened. What can change today? One step based on what your information is.
And it's universally applicable to whatever...
To everything.
To whatever is feeling a bit off.
Okay, well then I should go and ask one more question about this. That's one step. That's all you needed. Oh, I couldn't actually make a change in my career because I don't know what exists out there. One step.
I'm not so happy with the state of my relationships right now. One step is, hey, would you like to have dinner tomorrow night with a friend, right?
And what gets you from just A to B, not A to Z? I think that's all we need. And all of us can do something that gets us one step. But I do think that's why it is really important to work with and have support groups around you. Because, yes, our minds are also there to protect us and can operate in a way to keep us within the comfortable. And so just having someone that can listen or have that process to talk through, I think that's important. And I think it's for any goal you're looking to achieve, whether that be career or if any of these things encompasses change, creating a support system to help you through that, I think everyone should try and build that before they start on that.
Yeah, I think when change came down on my head like a sledgehammer and I was forced into it a couple of years ago, one of the realizations I have in hindsight is my support network was strong and it was there kind of not because of my doing. You know what I mean? And I was so like in hindsight, I was like, oh my goodness, like thank goodness. Someone, like my wife and my family had the wisdom to put that in place because I definitely wasn't investing enough time in those things. But when I take a look at other people whose lives had, in some ways fallen apart, or they've gone through some big transition, if you don't have a network that really feels like a network that sort of catches you and helps you through the hard times, it makes the recovery or like repatterning journey very, 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 very much more difficult.
It does. Yeah.
And
And I think it is like, a problem shared is a problem halved and things like that. I do think that that is true. Whether it's because there's different perspectives, because the person has already had the wisdom and gone through it, can provide some advice. Someone is there to listen and allow you to maybe offset some of the anxiety that's sitting there for you, or whatever it may be. I think having a support system is really important. And I always say, approach it as if your friend was asking the same question, what kindness would you show to them?
Yeah.
And what advice would you provide them?
Such a good frame.
And start using it for yourself. So
I do think it's a little bit ridiculous that we go through all of childhood having friends and parents and people around you to mentor and coach you in sports and in school and all that. And then we get to this point where it's time to work and it's the adult world.
Yeah.
And then you just get thrown in with the sharks and you're like, you're on your own now. Like you're not supposed to ask people for help. Nobody's going to guide you. In fact, most people in your workplace are out to get you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so twisted, right? Because I think for all of human history, when human beings come together, they thrive. And generally, when you go at it alone, you don't do so well.
Yeah. And I think, it is absolutely true everywhere. Like you may not know the best way of getting to that outcome. So maybe there is someone that has more expertise to get you there. That will be a fast track, less suffering if we ask the questions and share the load.
Yeah.
I need to know more about this industry. Or maybe I could speak to 3 people that are actually in it. Quickly, I've actually there's rose-tinted glasses. I thought it was going to be X, Y, and Z, but hearing from firsthand, done.
Yeah.
Rather than the what ifs.
Yeah.
Let's get like reality testing. And I think that's really important for change.
Yeah, it was something that popped in my mind as you were saying that. One of the things that we've been doing at Matter is encouraging people to, never mind, don't sign up for health coaching. Come in and just chat with a health coach once. Yeah. Because why not lean on expertise that is there about how to build the right habits, about how to figure out how to sequence your recovery for your needs? Like, why not lean on experience and, good opinions that are already there for the taking, right? It just helps you get there faster.
Yeah, and set yourself up for the successes. Like, if there has been challenges before, identify them. Why have you not moved role until now? What has been stopping you? We need to change something. There has to be a different approach, a different perspective, different environment, what it may be. The same applies for health, or, I've never been able to lose the weight before. That's usually, the same kind of individuals or pain points that individuals come in with.
Yep.
And I think what you're doing with health coaching, as I am, it's sustainable steps that actually they can use over and over again for different environments in their life. It's how to approach it. And there is individuals that have different solutions, different information. Yeah. And when we're in the creating, designing, and exploring, that's where we gain momentum.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the right way to think about it, but honestly, what I've been thinking about lately when it comes to coaching as a practice in general, I almost don't want to say it, but it kind of seems to matter quite a lot whether or not you get along with the person in front of you. Yeah. And I feel like coaching as a skill and how we get taught to do it, that shouldn't matter. But my experience of it is that it does matter. I don't know if it's a values thing like you talked about earlier in this conversation, but it seems like if you're likely to get along with this person, you're probably going to have a better coaching process.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that. I actually tell all of my kind of potential clients, like, have you spoken to the coaches? Like, because trust is so important. It's a partnership at the end of the day. And if you do not, like, would you join a partnership in any other way in life?
That's a good point.
Unless you had some elements of trust.
That's a good point.
Commonality of like purpose and value and outcome.
Yeah.
And you're now talking about some of the deepest dark, or the goal outcomes of your aspirations and your life, like the most important details. And I think you would only want to have that with someone you felt comfortable with, that you felt, I think trust is so important to that. And there's no guarantee with anything or any relationship. But I think when we start listening, even in that first clarity call or meeting that you have, gut says a lot. It's actually the first time you should probably start listening to it in the process. It's who you're working with.
Yeah. Makes me think of a conversation I had with Dr. Shireen, who I have been working with. And, we've both been through quite a lot in life. The places that we've worked at, the styles of like team and dynamics that we've experienced. And we're definitely at a point in our lives, we just want to do work with people we get along with. And we were just joking the other day, the knock-on effect of that is you end up doing better work. It kind of seems like it's because you like the people that you're doing it with, so you want everyone to sort of succeed. But there's also a creativity that comes when you're just being silly, and there's like this serious stuff that you're dealing with very seriously, but the banter, it's like injecting creative juice to the whole process, which seems to make the hardship more tolerable and the solutions more creative.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're operating in like a lot of alignment from what you're saying. So like your energy is there from the people that you're surrounding yourself with. It's not draining it.
Yeah.
So whether it be because there are shared values or if it's the creativity that you bring together, you found an alignment of some and maybe shared purpose. Maybe that like one of your career values. Shared purpose that you actually share with those around you as well. So like, well done for you.
Nice. Like easier to accomplish when you have a smaller team. Let's see as this goes. But it's.
But I think people are hugely important. But to different people, I think I personally found that I became a solopreneur, but then I actually get most of my energy from people. But knowing that, I have to operate and build my day very differently than, working remotely from home.
What's an easy example of, because this is happening quite a lot as well. My wife is someone like you too. She gets energy from people, but where she's ended up career-wise by choice, she mostly works alone. She sees clients one-on-one, not that many colleagues. So how do you sort of orchestrate or engineer or design your life so you get that?
So knowing that, so this is all about that kind of process of understanding yourself and what environments are conducive to your best outcomes. And so I have to be intentional. It would be very easy and comfortable for me to be able to work from home and just have the kids when they come back. But I know that actually my productivity falls if I'm alone too long. I don't get the same enjoyment, fun. And those are hugely important to me. And those are success matrix for me now. So I'm intentional about building in co-working spaces. I do most of all, probably 90% of most of my clients I work with in person because I love that human interaction. I will go on special networking events.
Yeah, you do quite a lot of those.
Yeah, I do quite a lot of those. I will also go to peer solopreneur meetups as well. So I'm always trying to find environments that kind of challenge my thinking, give me an opportunity to maybe vent some of my thinkings, find solutions, because I think that's also ultimately what I will use individuals the most for is when I get stuck, my go-to is say it out loud somewhere. Someone provides some insight to this. And probably 9 out of 10 times it always has.
Yeah. It's not like you need to fill your day with the social stuff either. No. It's sort of like if I inject a couple of those pockets throughout the week, that's enough. It satisfies that need without having to, change careers and like jump into work that will, drain you versus feed you energy-wise.
Yeah, exactly. And so we can, and that's again, designing, creating. There is ways that we can build into, I can't just be an entrepreneur because I'll be alone, or a solopreneur, or no, we can. There are solutions that when we start creating and designing, we get much more, experimental in what can be possible.
Yep. It's one of my favorite concepts to sort of play around with when I'm working with clients on a coaching level.
Yeah.
This idea of lifestyle design, right?
Yes.
And like the root of it, or sort of like what has to happen in the background is, you know, in your framework, it's the clarity stuff. It's understanding on a deep level what your values are, what matters to you, where you're actually trying to go.
Yes.
But once that is clear, just the realization, the shift in mindset, knowing that, wait, this is the pattern of my life now. It's 100% up to me how I want to redesign this. And as long as I'm being responsible for the people that I'm responsible for, as long as I'm not harming anyone, as long as I'm trying to like help people in some capacity, I can do whatever I want within this day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so powerful, right? And I think also the same thing is happening for, you know, 35 to 50-year-olds like that are in that career transition as well, that so many, our thought process was so that we have to be this person for this role, for this company. I need to tick this box for them. And actually the future of work is changing that. When we stop going into opportunities with what we have been and what we've done before, and start actually approaching it with who we are going to be and what we can do for you, that's design, that's creating.
That's a really interesting shift.
And you are actually showing a value proposition for the future.
So you would say even in a process of, as you're looking for what to do next and you're interviewing or you're talking to people, like even the conversations that you decide to have can be less about what you've done and how perfectly you'll fit this role exactly, and more about this is the stuff that I'm into, these are the trends that I see, here are the skill sets that I have, and how it can impact sort of together, how we can grow together.
And the interesting thing is the more, you know, loads of people say, oh, I really hate networking or I hate interviewing.
No, but I don't say
that. Well, you know, it's, I think but what you also tend to see is that actually when individuals are really passionate about what they're talking about, or if they really believe what they are saying, that actually doesn't become as scary a prospect.
Yeah.
So if you're going into interviews or into situations where you're co-designing what's going to be the future for both of you, the company and that, what a different conversation you start to have. When you know the value that you are bringing from doing the work of understanding, getting clarity, building confidence, what a different conversation you might approach someone as when you are, okay, well, I can do this and will have this for your business. Absolutely. You know, what else? And I think the world is more open to this designing, creating, because it's so uncertain.
They
can't say that the job will exist for the next 2 years. But, you know, showcasing versatility, you know, the fact that you're open to designing, creativity, thinking differently, upskilling, that changes a lot of conversation for individuals of the potential of what can be.
Yeah, I feel like it really changes the set of feelings that a human being has as they look at the uncertainty too, right? We can basically shift it to more like adventure versus, oh my goodness, this chaos is going to sink me. It can be, what can I grow into? How can I grow with this?
And couldn't it be a reframe of, oh my gosh, this actually allows me an ability to work on something that I love to do.
Yeah.
So, okay, I may still keep my job, but maybe I'll have a side business as well, because actually that's job security means something different now. So maybe I'm hedging my bets on actually, you know, I have an interest in this and I'm really good at it. I have a strength over here that I could maybe test out a bit. Maybe I could have a bit more of a portfolio business. There's so many options. Fractional work is now huge. Huge. And Singapore's catching up. I don't think it's fully there yet. I don't think it's ever been that part-time kind of work culture, but it's definitely increasing because, you know, project bases are becoming more of the norm. So how do we play in that? And I think that can actually present a lot of new opportunities, a lot of opportunities for growth, for individuals to pursue more of what they want to, passion projects, as we may say.
Yeah, this is the energy. This is the creating energy and the design energy.
Designing.
Yeah. It's a much better way to get through a hard time in life.
Yes. And if you see, like, you know, most of the job hiring trends, it is about this versatility that people are looking for now. And we have to showcase that. I think this is the other thing, as I said before, of like being able to be resting on what my experience or my loyalty to a company said out loud before from just being on a CV. No, we have to be proactive in saying what it meant and what it means now and what it means for you. Because no one else is talking about you on behalf of you, unfortunately, if you're not doing that for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for that insight. Yeah. Super fun to go down that path with you.
Yeah.
We don't have that much time left, but I did want to ask you something because I feel like personally, I have difficulty defining this, and I think a lot of people do as well, but maybe because of the work that you do and the journey that you've been on, you might be able to take a better stab at it, at least for yourself. Is it clear to you what success is for you?
Yeah, so I think I alluded to it in a couple of ways earlier. I think the pillars of success before that were, who knows, drilled into me from culture, society. I think it was, status, job, title, management, financial. I think success for me now is just very much being intentional. And I think I'm much more values-led. So am I having fun? Does it provide me happiness? Is it sustainable? I think these are what I deem as success metrics for me in what I am now. Am I growing? Do I continue to learn? Do I challenge myself? So my metrics very much changed, and I feel that what we class as success traditionally will come anyway if I align and make sure that those parameters are in place for myself. Yeah.
Do you think it's important that we revisit those values pretty often to sort of like keep ourselves in alignment? Is this like a quarterly thing? Is this like a weekly thing? Is this...
So values typically do not change for individuals. They are embedded into us between the ages of like from 0 to 7 years old, typically. But that should be at some comfort, actually. So I don't think necessarily that we need to revisit values, but how are they showing up?
Yeah, misalignment with the values.
So I think it's, being intentional to ask like, okay, and being more in tune with ourselves. Frustration starting to creep in a bit more. Anger is starting to come in.
And asking yourself why and what value is this rubbing up against?
Why am I starting to feel more angry? Why am I starting to feel, more disgruntled? Why am I like, when those start to show up, there's typically a violation of some values.
Yeah, I feel like that might be a better framework, because in my head, what I was trying to sort of lead us into is there a specific type of reflection sort of process that we can do, on a weekly or monthly or quarterly basis? But what you're saying is, I think, even more interesting, which is how do you develop this mindset, almost like the right type of voice in your head, where when something happens and you get frustrated, you get angry, you get upset about something, having the habit of asking why and asking yourself, what value is this going up against and what can I do about it?
Yeah. And that's actually a lot of the work that I do in terms of like being more in tune with like your gut reaction. How do we, typically our gut for most individuals has actually been right for us. So when I followed my gut, you usually feel that like, oh, I did a risk take, but I just followed my gut. I thought it was right. I just took the leap of faith. And usually they're like good outcomes. When they're not, we still have learnings. And a lot of people won't usually say, I would have done everything differently. I still would have taken that decision at the time. So I think when we start to move forward, start noticing like, okay, we actually do a lot of process to start listening to our gut more, seeing the patterns of how it actually delivers what we want. So then you can actually start listening to a little bit more. Oh no, it's like there is resistance here. And it's not a resistance of just fear of the challenge. It's actually, I don't like it. There's a distinguishing part to that as well.
Yeah, it's something that as of maybe about a year ago, I've been trying to familiarize myself with more. I went through a long phase of, trying to go with expert opinions or more seasoned, experienced opinions around me versus going with my gut. And hindsight's 2020, but when I look back at some key decisions, I'm like, I knew on some level, I knew, and I didn't speak up.
And the funny thing about that feeling of like or regret, regret is actually just something that we should look at as a signal for our now. If there's something that you regret and it was like, oh, I should have traveled when I was in my 20s, you know what you should actually probably do?
Just travel now.
Start incorporating some travel now,
That's
or
good.
bringing some of those things back into your life. Oh, I really wish I could have gone into like sports science when I was back at uni. How do you actually incorporate some of that back into your life now? That's what what it's actually telling you to do. It's a sign,
Yeah.
a signal. It doesn't have to be something that you're like, oh,
Yeah, you don't have to wallow in
Yeah.
it. You can listen to the emotion and have
Yeah.
it direct you in a positive
yeah.
way.
And actually, it's trying to tell me something.
Yeah, like I shouldn't have let my health get so out of whack.
Yeah.
You can just sit in that frustration, or you can think about it like a
Be like,
signal
oh,
of,
why does it keep giving me like, why am I so regretful about that? Oh, it's telling me that I should probably scratch that itch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gabby.
Yeah,
We're out
thank
of time, but
you.
that was
Thanks for
awesome.
having me.
And I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thanks. Thank you.